We're with Dominic at Cubicle 7, where most of the Doctor Who games live, and you also have some new stuff, and we're also going to talk about the role-playing game.
Excellent.
And yes, the new thing that you have here is Time Clash, and I've tried to imagine what kind of game it is, and as far as I understand is you play a time war, or the time war?
You're in the Time Clash set that we have. You separate into two teams. So some people are playing the Doctor's team, trying to be all good and save everybody, and everybody else plays the Daleks. So yeah, there's lots of shouting of "exterminate," as in most of our Doctor Who games, has to be said. You have if you look down here, there's you have these arcs. They each have a special rule that comes into effect if the TARDIS is on them. You're playing cards out to these arcs, and you're trying to basically build a higher number than the other team. So if the Doctor builds up the higher numbers, the Doctor team can launch a gambit to resolve very cleverly everything that's going on. And if the Daleks build up enough threat, of high enough of their numbers on the board, then they crush all the opposition mercilessly, and the Doctor has to run away.
Okay, it sounds a little bit abstract. So you're kind of trying to create a narrative out of this gameplay element, but it's still very Doctor Who-ish with the conflict being solved by being clever or outwitting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what was interesting for me was that it really feels like you're playing an episode. So there's two different phases in the game. There's the build-up where the Doctor is sort of trying to find out what's going on. He's trying to get some plans, and the Daleks are ramping up the threat level. And then when you reach a couple of thresholds, the game flips over into the end game, and the Doctor has to have his gambit, his cunning plan that's going to solve everything and make the Daleks go away. And if he fails, then the Daleks sort of win over time. So it's a bit asymmetrical, which I like, and feels like you're playing in an episode. There's lots of handy quotes and things like that on the cards to help you do amazing Doctor Who impressions, like I do, and my amazing Dalek voice.
the exterminator.
Oh yes.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun. A great home because you are the Doctor Who specialist with a role-playing game too. And if you look behind us, there's books for every Doctor, for every background so far. You've got a few books here that you want to show.
So these are the last three, I think, if my memory serves me rightly. There's quite a few. I mean, it's all just a massive excuse for us to geek out on Doctor Who, basically. So that's all good. It's got the Paternoster Investigations. Helps you take your games into the Victorian era, and see with Madame Vastra and Jenny and Strax, which is all great fun. Then we have the Black Archive, which is all of the weird and wonderful stuff that units accumulated over the years. So lots of very bad things to cause horrible consequences with. And the Games Master's Companion. Loads of extra advice and stuff for the Games Master to put into their game. So a real treasure trove of information there for the Doctor Who Game Master.
I just wonder, is it hard to find people who are so deep into the background of Doctor Who that they can fill an entire book with things about the little bit we know about the Victorian age Doctor Who characters? Or are there people queuing up?
It's the queue. Yes, I think that's one of the great things about Doctor Who is it's got such a passionate fan base, and there's a big overlap with gamers there as well. So we've got some great writers working on it, and their level of detail they know is absolutely amazing.
It's incredible. But you have to with the fans because everyone's going to notice if something's wrong, right?
Oh yes. There's a lot of eyes and a lot of knowledge applied to so yes, we make sure that we do as best as we can. But I mean, it's such a huge show with such a rich history that there's a lot there.
And I like that when you actually started the game, that behind the mechanisms is still the way of thinking of the series and when people act and how they can act. And was that something that you went into saying, yes, it has to also feel like you're a character when you're playing with the choices you have?
Definitely. I mean, I think that's something that we do really well at Cubicle 7. I think getting under the skin of a licensed property and really bringing out its themes mechanically as well as in the spirit of how we present it. So, and I think it's really important to have a role-playing game out there where violence is deprioritized, and it is all about outthinking the opposition and not outfighting them. I think that's a really important thing, and I think it brings a European sensibility.
a very old school British BBC sensibility also, which I actually like. This.
Yeah, I think so. I was aiming for inclusivity. But
Oh yeah, are we going to see a book with the face of the new Doctor?
oh yes, absolutely. We've got some really special plans for next year.
I'm so looking forward to it. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.